and it's also it's worth quite a lot of points. So this fixture is worth 4 points today, and yeah, previously it's been very much a case of it's gone either way. It's been very close in previous years with badminton, so definitely looking forward to it. And I realise I haven't introduced myself. I'm Lucas Abbott, and I'm going to be one of your commentators today. I am joined by one of our Students' Union President's nominations, who ran for our Students' Union President, Usul Kabusel, the clown. How are you doing?
Yes, stupendous. You know, I'm a massive fan of badminton, and that's why I'm here today. You know, I'm a massive, I play it all the time. They were going to put me on the first team until, they knew that I would be too good. So that's why I'm here today, commentating, of course.
Yes, of course. Well,
yes.
Glad to have you here. Now, actually looking at, you mentioned the team, looking at the team itself, there's a few kind of, what they've said are sort of key players almost. So there's kind of the captains from each of the teams who have had a huge amount of kind of points won, matches won. From York, that's Eleanor Chapman and Emily North. And the Lancaster captain is Rishi Beriti. Sorry for any terrible pronunciation on my part. But definitely a fun season so far. It's been very, very good on both sides. Lancaster have either won or drawn 7 times so far this season. And York have done the same feat 3 times. So definitely going to be interesting going into Roses. Both have had a lot of success.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I know, we're seeing some really good play here today. A lot of smashes I'm noticing, which are very difficult to pick up. There's a lot of variation, and I think this is going to be a really good match today.
No, definitely. And you mentioned some of the smashes, and what's really interesting is that just how fast they are, and you're noticing some of these players making it really easy almost seemingly to get the shuttlecock back. But some of the professionals will hit smashes over 300 miles an hour.
Wow.
Which is, absolutely ridiculous and insane, but, a really massive feat, and really great that they're, able to just have the reflexes to kind of get that back. And another thing that's kind of really interesting, you look at badminton, the original shuttlecock was designed with goose feathers initially. Instead of what modern day, I think it's like plastic composites. But initially, goose feathers.
And the ones that we have here today are also made of goose feathers.
Probably. But the shuttlecocks are moving so fast that we can't see.
And also, I don't have my glasses on, so...
That's a shame.
Yes.
Can you see much?
There's people in red shirts and there's people in white shirts, and I presume that they're playing badminton.
That's good to hear.
Yes.
But no, it's going to be, I think, very interesting. And yeah, definitely close, because as I said, both teams have had a lot of success, and I think one thing, as I said, previous results, you look, so back in 2024, women's first was 2-7 in favour of York, women's second was 5-4 in favour of Lancaster though. You go back to then 2022, York were a bit more dominant with women's first, with 1-8 in favour of York. But it's, there's been a huge amount of competition, and as we've said, a lot of points up for grabs. Have you got any particular predictions, anything that you think might be, might happen? Do you think any particular team will stand a chance at winning? Or
I think they will hit a shuttlecock between them, and I think one of them will miss, and I think that will lead to at least 1 point.
Good to hear it.
Genuinely though, I think it could really go either way. I mean, both sides are showing really their strength in this warm-up. There's a lot of training that goes into this, and I think they're ready to show it to us today. Definitely.
And for anyone kind of tuning in who doesn't know the rules of badminton, it's fairly simple. You serve the shuttlecock in, you play the point out. If you miss or you hit a winner, you either win or lose the point, and it's first to 21, but by 2 clear points, until you get to 29 all. And at 29 all, it is a sudden death point, and you win the game. And I think today they're playing best of 3 games to win a match. So genuinely, it could go either way. And what we have seen in some previous matches is there's definitely been a momentum shift where, maybe one team or one player has lost the first game quite closely and then come back to win the next two. So
I mean, they're both really strong teams, yeah. And the atmosphere here today is amazing.
Oh, that's another thing, the atmosphere. If it's being picked up on the microphones, but there's a huge amount of support, not only in we've got some seating over towards our left, but then all the way up on the balcony, there's just a huge amount of support and a huge amount of people watching today. So definitely a lot of support. And we've also got over in the second half of the sports hall, I think it's the men's firsts going on as well. So a lot of people coming out to watch both teams play. So
unfortunately, my eyesight does not go that far. But from the looks of it, I think you are right. And we can definitely hear it as well. Some really powerful plays going on.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the matches might just about have started on court number 3. We're still in the warm-up stages of the first two courts, which thankfully they've given us some little kind of scorecards that we can see. And
relatively.
Even with my glasses on, I'm struggling to see it, but that's just, I think, more a commentary on my poor eyesight.
Yes,
no.
I do believe that the one on the furthest court from us has started. Unfortunately, the scorecard is looking away from us, so we can't really see how it's going. But from what we can see, it's
very competitive, and
absolutely.
not many teams making many errors, which is what you can see. And another one, what you always see with badminton, one thing you play quite often with is distance going from the back of the court towards the front. So you'll see some of the teams hitting really high shots, forcing their opponents to go all the way back and hit equally high shots to them, which then gives them an opportunity to smash it, which is really difficult to then return. And so we've seen very few unforced. We're seeing very few unforced errors, and so it's great to watch. Lancaster, I think York now serving just on court number 3, and you can see very high quality of play and not many misses. And I think court 2 court 2 are just underway now. Lancaster, I think, just getting that point there. York to serve. And what are you thinking? You mentioned the atmosphere earlier. What are we?
Absolutely. I mean, it's absolutely roaring in here. You can hear it on the men's courts, so you can hear it on the women's courts as well. I mean, as well, just looking at the players, the coordination that they have to not run into each other, to know how they play.
Especially on doubles courts as well. You've obviously got, you're playing, with your, a doubles partner, and it's also interesting to look at the different formations used. I mean, looking at court 2 now, they started almost one behind the other, to kind of one person covers the net, and then as I said, when they're forced back, that person behind just covering the baseline, or the equivalent of, I'm sorry, I'm using tennis terminology here, but covering the back of the court quite effectively there.
It's just interesting to see in the middle court as well the difference between York and Lancaster. You've got 2 players for Lancaster that are standing really close next to each other, and they're basically in tandem. And then with York, you've got one in front of the other.
Court side to side almost, and then kind of, whereas York are almost electing to split the court in half, front to back, because that is one thing that you do have with badminton. It is, so easy to change up the momentum of the point. You can go from hitting shots right at the very, very back of the court, and then just all of a sudden hitting drop shots, and almost as bad as the high shots are to hit. Trying to return some of the really good drop shots is difficult, certainly without hitting the net as well. That is one risk you do run if you're trying to return some of the drop shots, because these players are playing very well, and trying to get some of their shots back is going to be. They're not going to make it easy. It is roses, and while it isn't an official books match, which is the competitive league for a lot of sports, roses is always competitive, and there's always friendly competition in it. So.
Yes, I think we're just about to get underway on, or
we're
already underway.
We're just
on
underway
court
the first
1 as well, so everybody has started their matches.
And what's interesting, I think you'll notice, just before they serve, they're almost they put the shuttlecock behind their back, and I think a bit like in tennis, which is a sport I'm more familiar with, they're just trying to indicate to their partner, the serving pattern and different serve formations that they're using to kind of construct the point differently. And it is good to see, that almost synergy between the 2 players and trying to
absolutely
construct a point well. Really well judged shot there, I think, from the Lancaster team. It landed, I think it was
right in front of us.
Right in front of us, right near our.
Could not have been any better.
Almost.
The aim at the clown, that's what they need. Or aim at the not clown, I must say.
Yes, yeah, let's not aim at the commentators.
Yes. Yes, it took me a very long time to put on this makeup this morning. It takes me 3 hours to put on and 5 hours to take off. So
well, that is quite some effort,
yes,
I must say.
Preferably they don't hit it so hard that it comes off of my face.
Hopefully not. But yeah, I think match play is now underway on all 3 courts, I believe. So yeah, on court number 1, Lancaster yet again, just another quietly, really well judged shot, but all of them playing really well and really, trying to either, forcing the opponent's play either so well that they hit almost unreturnable winners, or just, forced errors almost.
Yes, and Lancaster right now on court number 1 is 7-1
up.
Wow.
But as I said, it's first to 21 by 2 clear points. So genuinely, even within a game, the momentum can shift just so easily. And you can go from being, it's now 7-2. So being 7-2 up, you could then lose the next 9 points in a row, or alternatively, it could go, you could win the next 3-4 points in a row yourself. So it's, that's the one, I think, good thing about badminton. It's such a fast-paced sport that momentum can shift just so easily.
Absolutely. What an amazing shot that was.
On court number 1, they were trading some quite high shots just to try and, almost force an error. And what I can say from my limited badminton experience, you might have had the experience too, hitting up high shots and then just being blinded by the lights on the roof of the sports centre.
Yes. It probably doesn't also help looking at the clown behind.
No.
So I hope they're ignoring me in my, I suppose, distraction.
I think a lot of the teams are, from what I can see, both teams are fairly focused and,
absolutely
fairly motivated to just, play the best badminton that they can do. Court number 2 there. I think, I think they're very close. I can't quite make out the scoreboard.
No, me neither.
Very close on, both courts. A slight unforced error from one of the York players, nearly hitting her teammate, but all smiles and laughs.
And I must say, Kern has an absolutely beautiful racket there with the pink wire. An amazing smash as well.
Yeah, a series of smashes, but Lancaster kind of still returning the shots and still getting the shuttlecock back in play, which sometimes is a good play. Unfortunately, it was an error into the net for the Lancaster team on court 2, but as I said, sometimes that is the play, just, put the shuttlecock back on the other side of the net and force your opponent to make another shot and just, force an error out of them, or, just tire them down. Competitive play yet again, changing up the variation in shot type there, forcing your opponent all the way to the back of the court and then hitting just that drop shot there, and the Lancaster team being unable to just get to that.
It's just making them run for it. You're trying to make them be forced to keep it alive while you're being forced to go in for the kill. And I think that's what Lancaster on court 1's doing quite well, and what York on court 2 is doing very well indeed.
Yeah. But you saying that, I mean, we were talking about court 1 earlier. Lancaster being 7-2 up. It's now 11-7 to Lancaster. So that gap that we were initially talking about, as I said, has closed and momentum has almost shifted. York almost, I'd say, finding their stride a bit more. I say that I almost jinxed it. Lancaster hitting a good smash, unfortunately being unreturned there on court number 1. On court number 2, there's quite a lot of support for both the Lancaster and York team. York hitting some good overheads and a slight unforced error into the net for the Lancaster team. But not the easiest shot, you've got it almost coming behind you, you're trying to run back to it, and then you've got to try and hit it with enough power to get it over the net without hitting it out. So
it's trying to just keep that momentum up. I mean, if you keep getting shot after shot after shot and you're winning point after point, it can really be detrimental to the confidence of the opposite team, and I think that's really what they're trying to get to. And now, I mean, it's 12 Lancaster, 9 York. They really are starting to shut that door on them, or close
almost
in,
close
really.
I mean, as we were saying, it's very much a game of momentum shift, so they're very much closing the gap, and both playing very competitively. A good drop shot there. I mean, there was some really fast-paced shots almost from the back of the court from both teams, and then just that kind of change up almost with a nearly unexpected drop shot from the Lancaster team. On court number 3, action is underway again. This is unfortunately the court where we can't see the scorecard, but I think action is just about underway there.
Yes. I believe it's their second set. I'm not sure who won the first.
Yeah.
But looking very competitive up there. It's very unfortunate that we don't have a better view, to be honest.
Yeah. But with the one court we do have a good view of is court 1, which is getting more and more competitive. I mean, the second and third courts, ones furthest from us, have had a bit, I think, more of a fast-paced game, and maybe one team came out a bit stronger. But on this court number 1, I think, we're seeing a huge amount of competition. The minute it's 15-10 to Lancaster, but both are playing really well. And as I said, there's been almost no unforced errors. It's either been, winners after fairly long rallies, or just some, forced errors.
Absolutely. It's just picking up the scraps from mistakes, really, and just seeing what they can do with it. And I think both sides, when it comes to, their point, that's pretty much what they're doing very well to solidify that.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely. And you can just see the huge amount of fast-paced shots and how the teams are choosing to cover the court differently. An unfortunate shot there from for the York side on court number 1. Lancaster hitting a good drop shot, but overall great court coverage and great kind of team playing. Like, you're seeing them switch it up. Sometimes they're playing side to side depending on the points, and then if they hit a deep shot, then one of them knows, okay, I'm covering the back of the court. That's
Absolutely.
my kind of part, and they'll change it up. I mean, York there constructing that point so well. Lancaster will hit the shot a bit short and then bringing it in and then waiting for that kind of easy return back to hit a winner past Lancaster.
Yeah, they're just keeping them guessing, really. It's making sure that they can't tell where you're going to hit the shuttlecock next. You want to make them run back and forth. You want to make sure that they're not prepared for what you're going to do next and try and tire them out, or even better, make them miss it.
Yeah. And yet again, we're looking just specifically at court number 1. Hugest variation. I mean, we started this point with a massive amount of just really fast-paced shots that were fairly low above the net. Then we had a couple of drop shots.
Oh, very unfortunate for Lancaster.
Just slightly misjudged it, I think.
It was a beautiful rally that they had going there.
It was a great rally. A lot of shot variation. I mean, really high shots and kind of looping and kind of forcing your opponents back. And almost, when you're doing that, you're almost looking up above. And so you can get errors there. But unfortunately, just kind of clipping the kind of the top, like almost the feathers of the shuttlecock, so to speak.
The goose feathers, of course.
Yeah. I think action is now fully underway
yes.
on courts, both courts 2 and 3. We're in the second sets there. I think from what I can just about see on the score sheets on the second court, that it's fairly tied at the minute.
We'll have to get somebody to run and have a look for us, I think. But it's looking very strong on all courts.
Yeah, I mean, and yet again, there's even more support now arrived, just to our right, which you can probably hear on the microphones.
Yes. Lancaster has won their first set, 21-14.
Yeah, and that's on court number 1. But yet again, both teams showing just really good overall kind of competitiveness, and in general just not making it easy, which is definitely what you want. On court number 2, a slight misjudgment. I think the shot from York was ever so slightly long, but overall it's been fairly competitive. Lancaster serving and just covering the court really well. Yet again, slight unfortunate shot there for York, just clipping for a split second, I don't know about you, but it almost looked as if the shuttlecock was going to clip the tape on the top of the net and just go over.
It's just keep for court number 2.
Just
a player is tying their shoe. For court number 2, a player is tying their shoe.
Very common. Yeah, I wouldn't say not
very,
too
very,
uncommon
very
sight.
neat. Very neat tying of the laces there. That I can tell you all about.
Yeah, and so action is still underway. I think on court 2 again. I think they were almost hoping that shot was going to go out. It was very close to being out, but it was just in kind of the outer edges of the court. So it almost clipped the outer line almost on the court on court number 2.
Very strong shots we're seeing here as well.
definitely a match smash.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
unfortunate.
just slightly too low on the smash. But overall, it's just, very competitive. And yet again, one of the things that I think both teams are using effectively is just either, if possible, forcing your opponents wide, or then just playing with depth if you can. That's been one of the strategies I think most of the teams are using, and just playing with that depth and making sure that your team, your opponents just are on the run basically, or just lunging for shots.
So it can be such a pain especially if it's a close game and you've gone 40 rounds in, let's say, and you've been running back and forth, you just get exhausted. And really, that's what you want your opponent to be. You want your opponent to not be able to go for your shots. And I think that's what both sides really been doing quite well. But they're really showing their endurance. And we can hear the cheers from the Lancaster side on court one here as they're about to get back underway, I believe.
Yeah, with Lancaster serving. And it's, slightly unforced error there. Just ever so slightly wide on that shot. But I don't want to say I don't want to say blame the York side too much. She was quite stretched out quite far to reach that shot. It wasn't the easiest one to get. Action is still underway on court number 3, I believe. And I think on court number 2, they've just finished the first game. Finished the second game. And I think it might be possibly tied at 1-1 in terms of games. Yet again, the scoreboard is ever so slightly angled away from us and is too far away from us.
Ever so sorry that we can't update you on these scores.
It'd be great if we just had this lovely little score counter that we could just see.
And that was a bit of a safety hit there, I suppose, from Lancaster on court number 3, trying not to smash the racket or the shuttlecock into each other as they try and keep the game alive.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, it's fairly early doors. Certainly on kind of court number 1 here, the one closest to us, 1-1 at the minute.
My guess would be for court number 1 is that Lancaster have just won a set, from my guess of what we can see. I think it's something like 7-21 to Lancaster. I apologise if that's not correct. I do not have my glasses on. I don't think it goes with the clown
I think it looks
fit.
like that, but again, visibility is not great.
Yeah.
And as we found out earlier, I'm significantly more short-sighted than you, so my glasses don't help your eyesight. So, I think action still underway on court number 2.
I do believe court number 1 is actually finished, it's looking like.
Possibly.
Might have been a Lancaster sweep, actually. It'd be nice if we could get that fact checked, but
either way, what we're
strong.
seeing is it's hugely competitive.
There's a reason that they're playing in War of the Roses, I'll tell you that.
Yes, definitely. And again, what we can see on court number 1, which is the one we thankfully have a good view of the scoreboard, it's currently 2-4, I think, in favour of York, I want to say. I could be wrong on that.
Yes.
Yeah, 2-4 in favour of York. But again, competitive behaviour. And again, just that variation. I mean, quite a deep shot coming quite close to us, and then just that, forcing Lancaster's team to move further backwards and hitting a higher, more defensive shot, just resulting in an easy smash to put away.
There's the fast reactions here. An amazing point from Lancaster there. It's just keeping your eyes peeled and making sure that you've got that synergy between you and your partner to know who's going to go for the shuttlecock, who's going to dive, who's going to run.
Yeah, and it's a bit of banter between, I think, the two York players just there. 3-5 in favour of York, I believe, now.
Yes.
But again, huge depth on the shots, and even then when on the run, just being able to cover the court so well and make good shots back. And York, yet again, just coming up with decent, just variation on their shots. So
a beautiful smash there from York on court 2 as well. They really have been dominating their game.
Yeah, and I think,
it must be the pink wires.
Yeah, the pink strings.
Absolutely beautiful.
They are quite bright. I mean, we've got similarly bright ones on court number 1. We've got some slightly red ones, and then some orangey ones with a black and yellow kind of Babolat. I think it's Babolat. Babolat.
I'll believe you.
that's an overestimation of my abilities to judge things.
I mean, you're speaking to the clown, so.
Yes, but a competent clown who ran for our students' union, president.
They're the real winner. Unfortunately, I cannot go into details as to why I had to drop out. They will be after me. Anyway,
back
to badminton.
Enough with students' union elections. Back to badminton, which action's still very much underway on courts number 1 and number 2. If you are just joining us, that is support for, I think, the men's. Well, I think the open first team is playing on the other side of the sports hall, and support for both. Both fixtures is very, very strong, and in general, it's been very competitive. I think from both ends. The women's game, which is right in front of us, is currently 6-8 in favour of York, and a slight kind of error there on Lancaster's side, hitting the shot. Shot just a little bit wide.
Yes, but I do believe as well. Court number 2, I do believe that York has won their game.
Yeah. So
I do apologise if this is wrong. Once again, we cannot see the score.
It'd be great if we just had
number 1.
either just a bigger version of the scoreboards or just a copy of them. But
have a little earpiece. Unfortunately, I don't think we have the budget for that.
Unfortunately, student media definitely doesn't. So. But it's still very close on both ends. Court number 1 is still underway, 10-6 in favour of York, and
the turns have really been tabled here.
Yeah, I mean Lancaster just edging out York, in the first kind of game, and York taking a bit more of a distinctive lead here in the second game. Another unfortunate kind of slightly unforced error from the Lancaster team, but yet again just hugely competitive. And one thing I said, yet again, the variation in kind of where they're standing, how they're playing. It's just always interesting to see.
I must say Lancaster on court number 1 now, they have missed quite a few just by hitting the net. And that might just be a confidence issue with, the change of momentum compared to the last game.
Oh, possibly, but there's also, you don't want to discredit York. They've been playing really well. And what they've been doing, I think especially effectively here, is forcing Lancaster's team to go back. And as I said, just, be really much on the defense, even from the first shot and the serve. Great, good return from Lancaster there. It was a good serve, but Lancaster just hitting it just over the head of one of the York players.
It really does show, on both sides, that if you have a slight,
shift in momentum.
A slight shift in momentum.
Or just maybe one miss. It just, it's very much a case of both teams are taking every single opportunity that they get, and both playing really well. Great defense and a great point there from Lancaster.
Lancaster doing amazing to keep the game alive.
And the Lancaster side's just really showing off kind of good, foot speed and court coverage there to get to the shuttlecock, because it was just, it didn't look easy to get, and they made it look really easy to just cover the ground, get the shuttlecock back in play, and then going from very much defense into a very much kind of an offensive position where you're in control of the points.
And Lancaster making a comeback here. You can see the slight change in depth perception for both sides. It's very, very slight. Anytime that it goes out, anytime it hits the net, it's never really anything too off. And we are now 10-14 to York here. It's really getting underway. It's so close. And both teams really have their rallies that they're keeping going.
Yeah,
point after point. It's really amazing to watch.
Yeah.
And that was a slight serve out there by York.
But that's the thing. That's one thing that I think all the teams have been doing is variation on the serve. Either dropping it short or trying to pull it wide a bit, or alternatively forcing your opponent back. Slight unforced error there, I think, from the York team, just trying to hit a smash and just ended up going into the net. But you're under pressure. You're playing against good opponents, and in fairness, both of them are really good. Slight discussions here, possibly around the shuttlecock. I think the men's teams might be doing well on a very close point. As you might be able to hear, the audience is very, very kind of invested.
Yeah,
and
you
there's-
can really
As
tell.
we've said, the atmosphere here is really good.
Yeah.
And despite the seemingly limited amount of seating, there's a lot of support. Both through York and Lancaster, both up on the balconies and the seats.
You can really tell that the support is really helping out these players. It's getting the energy up.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Absolutely.
Lancaster serving, and they've just
now
actually
we
just
have
closed the gap.
equalised,
It's 14 all now in this second game. Just changing up the kind of the variation on the serve and changing up, where your both your partners, your partner, your team player is, standing, and just changing it up.
Both sides very equally matched here. You can really see in their
and you
skill.
can see the momentum
keeping it alive.
shift. The momentum shift even in the point itself. Both teams have gone from offensive to defense. Unfortunately, there Lancaster missing ever so slightly, but credit to both Lancaster and York. Really well constructed points. None of them giving out any kind of free points or free shots. It was really well constructed, and both players just really, all players just absolutely going for it.
It's just that ability to keep it alive, not giving it up.
And we're just seeing here just the amount of kind of variation. A set of drop shots there.
Amazing from York.
Really
there.
well constructed by York there on that point. They hit a really good drop shot, and we're expecting kind of a slightly higher return. Just, Lancaster were just trying to get the shot back, and York knew, okay, this is going to be a fairly central shot, and it's going to be a bit higher, so I'm going to be able to put it away, and that's what they managed to do. Another good shot from Lancaster, well judged there.
You really can't pinpoint who's going to win this at this point in the
No,
game.
I mean, at the minute it's 15-16 in favour of York. At the minute there's a lot of support for Lancaster, as you might be able to hear. We've got some of the, I think, friends and just supporters for the Lancaster team just over to our right. So
amazing.
Now 16-all. Yet again, great point construction from the Lancaster team, who, managed to get a fairly easy smash to put away. But York, not giving it to them too easily. Don't discredit, either team. Both are playing amazing, both offensively and defensively. Speaking of, very much an offensive drop shot, I want to say, so to speak. Like,
beautiful.
York firstly forcing the Lancaster team onto the back foot, and then just, hitting a drop shot, and Lancaster, even though they've got great foot speed and great court coverage, just being unable to get the racket onto the shuttlecock.
And I must say, the support here today, as we keep saying, has been absolutely wonderful. If you are in Lancaster, York or Lancaster student, please show up for your teams. The support really does help. As you can tell by the screams that you can inevitably hear on our microphones.
Lancaster just won another point. A slight error from the York team, but yet again, just great point construction from both teams.
Absolutely.
A really fast-paced shot, that one. We were talking that some shuttlecock speeds can get up to 300 miles an hour, and one thing I think we should get for next year is a speed gun to see, see exactly how fast some of these shots are going, because some of them are very fast.
I'd say that one was about 127.
But
and
that's
that
the thing,
one was
both
50.
of them are like hitting really fast shots, and really testing the reactions of the opposing team. At the minute, it's just in Lancaster's favour now at 19-17, but we've seen so many momentum shifts in this.
And it really has shifted. We're now at match point for Lancaster here.
At 2017, but that's the thing, don't discredit York. They, it's very, easily points are won or lost. Saying that, I think I jinxed the team there.
Yes. So York needs to get one more point here, and then we will need to keep going. Or if Lancaster gets this point, then it's all over.
So at the minute it's 20-18, so another match point for Lancaster. But if York can save these next 2 points like they did there, forcing the error out of Lancaster, then it's by 2 clear points up till 29-all. And when it gets to 29-all, it's a deciding point. However, that won't be needed. It is a second. They seal it on a second match point. Lancaster, I think, winning that match 2 games to love, but 2 very, very, very closely fought games there. I think it was 21-14 and 21-18 in the end. So
you couldn't If you told me that it was going to be this close, absolutely amazing for both of them. I feel like with these microphones I need to start doing karaoke, I must say.
They are very karaoke-esque microphones.
Tequila.
We do not endorse, by the way, any particular alcohol brands, nor do we endorse or promote the consumption of alcohol, just as a heads up.
No comment.
I will not be reading off some of your policies then from your students' union election run.
I fear I will be in trouble.
No, it's all it's fine.
Yes, at the end of this, I must say we have seen such strong games from both sides. I mean, you can see why they're in the War of the Roses here. I mean, I believe at least we had a win on court number 1 for Lancaster. I believe that we had a win for York on the middle court and a win, we definitely know, for Lancaster on the court closest to us. I mean, amazing play, I must say.
It's, yeah, genuinely amazing play, and there's a lot of fixtures here, so it could just shift either way, really.
Some, I don't know how many points we had here for...
4 points in total, so for the
okay.
twos fixtures and the mixed, I believe it's 2 points for those 3 fixtures. And then for the first games, so the Open first, and then the women's first, it's 4 points a fixture. And as I've said previously, a lot of the fixtures have gone either, they've gone either way. I mean, looking at previous results, when my phone slowly loads, yeah, so 2024, the last time this was kind of covered. So 2024, the mixed fixture was 5-4 in favour of Lancaster, very close. Open first, 6-3 in favour of Lancaster. Women's first last year, York took quite a decisive lead in 2024, 2-7 in favour of York. The Open second, almost the inverse, 8-1 in favour of Lancaster. And then women's second was 5-4 in favour of Lancaster.
Just shows how competitive this really
is.
Absolutely.
And, while it might be that one fixture is a bit more one-sided, or maybe one, either Lancaster or York have like either an open first team who are stronger or a mixed team that are stronger. You're playing because there's so many different fixtures for this, and because they're all worth a very significant amount of points. I mean, it's, let me do math. That's 10 points for the entire fixture, so a decent amount.
I believe you.
Well, it's 2 4s and 3 2s, so
that sounds about right.
Yeah, so I think we've just about got some of the fixtures. Have we got some of the results in yet? We've got some fixture results. Perfect. So, so the twos lost are on the, I think, which was the middle court, which we were saying. So Lancaster, as we said, York just taking it very much in their stride. As we were saying here, 21-18 on, I think what is technically court number 3. And
we were just making up the numbers. It's fine.
We're not making up all the numbers. Not at least for the court closest to us.
Not for the scores. I mean the court numbers. We're not going to lie about the scores.
We're making up court numbers as we go. And yeah, the third team, the one that we saw on the far end, Lancaster winning, I think, in the end. But
yes.
As I said, very closely fought matches. And there's been, a huge, just really, really kind of fun. It's been, really interesting so far. And I think at the minute they are just drawing, drawing their next set of opponents. And as we, I think, were saying a bit earlier, previous results. So, we were saying 2024 so just very, very competitive. And it's worth 10 points, as I said, in total. Bear in mind, you need 180 to win. And this is just one the sport in total. This is one sport of a huge, huge, huge number of sports. But back in 2022 as well, there was a bunch of different fixtures. This time, certainly some of the main fixtures. So women's second, mixed. Mixed, women's second, women's first. were all 8-1 in favour of York,
Wow.
so they kind of swept those fixtures. But then Lancaster, being a lot hugely more competitive, men's second 4-5 in favour of York, 6-1 in favour of 6-3 in favour of York back in 2022. But it's always been hugely just competitive, and it's very much I genuinely think it could go either way here.
Absolutely. So close. I think we're now warming up on the court closest to us. That is either 1 or 3.
I think Badminton have been calling it 3. We've been calling it 1.
Oops.
Sorry. The court closest to us. Although that doesn't help because we're off camera and just hiding away commentating.
I would put my face in front of the camera, but I don't think that would be socially acceptable, unfortunately.
I would find it fine, but I'm not in charge of live streaming here, so.
Hold my beer.
Okay. As I was saying, action is now underway on the court closest to us. Just warming up, I believe, before we're about to start. The rest of the draw is underway. So they are just drawing other results. I've temporarily been abandoned by Usul Gabusel, who's gone to stare at the other cameras. But for now, I'm joined by my lovely TV producer, Emily Smith. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm quite enjoying badminton. Trying not to get hit by...
That has been a challenge. We are quite, the surrounding area of the court, so the bit around it, isn't large. And so we're stood very much towards the back of the courts. And so it has just been very close and, very fun.
Usul is here to say some words as well.
Hi again, Usul. Have you had your fun with the cameras?
No.
Oh, okay. Glad to hear it.
I have been Usul, not the clown. I am at Usul the clown on Instagram. Please find me around. I have stickers.
We love the shameless
Bye, love you.
self-promotion.
Mwah.
Bye, Usul. Bye.
And I just want to say genuinely thank you to Usul for coming along to commentate. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a few interactions with Usul before. I helped run the Students' Union elections.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, and Usul, I think, is just going around to some of the other fixtures, which personally I found a lot of fun.
I mean, some people can find roses they can get too involved with it sometimes.
And I think just that lightheartedness and just the kind of fun of it is,
Absolutely, and that's
great.
what Usul is about.
Yes. That and very fun Students' Union election policies, which I don't think we can bring up here.
No. Let's stay away from that. Let's talk about badminton.
Yeah, so it is. Yeah, at the minute, what we've had is, so as you've probably seen, it's been very, very close action. Certainly on the court closest to us, we've had very tight matches. I think York a bit more dominant on the middle court that we've seen. I think taking their second kind of game, winning it 21-8, I think, in the end. But no, warm-ups are underway. The draws are just being finalised for the next set of matches. So definitely interesting to see, how these next matches warm up. Now, you've obviously seen some of the matches so far whilst you've been producing. Has anything in particular, caught your eye? Any particular tactics? Anything you think, a lot of the teams are going to be using to try and beat the others?
I think for me, it's the mind games that they're doing. They're doing some are going slow when they're starting, some are missing them, and I'm thinking, ooh, are you doing this to get in their head, try and do that? As you can probably tell by my language, I don't play badminton. Actually, no, that's a lie. I did it when I was younger. Yeah. And that was purely because they said I was so uncoordinated. So then they put me in badminton to try and help, and that never worked. Never did.
But, badminton is a, really fun and at the minute a really competitive sport.
I know.
And we've had really close matches and looking forward to it. And you mentioned mind games. Sorry, I'll just wait briefly. The men's ones fixture is still ongoing at the minute.
Yeah.
And
on the
there's
other
a
side
lot
of the court
on the other side of the sports hall. And as we've been mentioning, the atmosphere here and the amount of support for everyone
honestly
has been huge.
It's been amazing. I think Roses in general, the atmosphere has been amazing as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. But, I mean, the men's ones has been competitive. I don't know the exact scores, but now, you know, looking at as kind of the women's first fixtures get underway, they're just finishing, I think, warm-ups.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon they'll bring back the scoreboard so we can see what the scores are. But overall, just, you know, hugely competitive. And, you know, that variation, as I was saying, is the one thing that they've really kind of been using so much of. I mean, a drop shot just there, and then York just trying to return it. Just, you know,
I think
clipping the net almost. It's very, you know, it's always so close. And
it is. You know, and I think that's what is doing very well, especially in the court in front of us, where they are doing those like longer shots and then they're doing the drop shots,
and changing up the pace as well.
It's making it an entertaining game, is what I will say.
Yeah, and just changing it, you know, a good drop shot there from Lancaster on the court closest to us. But York getting to it and showing how good their court coverage are.
Wow.
Great reflexes. I mean, York then going in with a drop shot, but Lancaster getting to it. York winning, I think, winning the point in the end. I think just going slightly out there from either York, I think, and just yet again reflexes. I think has been another key thing. We're just seeing such good reflexes from all of the players, and I mean, as I was saying, professionals will, you know, like some of the best in the world will hit the shuttlecock at like 300 miles an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, certainly when they've got those overhead smashes and they're winners, they're hit really fast.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
And whilst we can't, you know, we don't have a speed gun, which I think we should get.
See, I think
next year, I think we should petition get a speed gun.
I think we should do that, and then every time like it happens, we can go, wow,
it was
like,
that speed.
That was that speed. You know, it puts it into perspective in a way.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. And, you know, looking at, I think, the far court as well now underway. You know, competitive from all angles. Lancaster, I think, just winning the point on the court closest to us, you know, with a short serve and an unfortunate error there from York. Maybe not expecting just quite such a short shot. Because the one thing that both teams have been playing with is depth and kind of variation on the initial serve. And then, you know, as we're getting into this rally, you know, York hitting slightly shorter shots, but in credit to them, they're very much on the deep. 1 second, I just can't.
Yeah, it's all kicking off on the other
think
side.
on the open first court that is on the other side, that there's been some fairly important points won, as there's been lots of cheering and just huge amount of support. As I was trying to say though, on the court closest was just huge amount of variation, and on some of the more recent points when Lancaster's been serving, you know, Lancaster kind of effectively just, you know, forcing York to defend and, you know, right at the back of the court. York at the minute though playing very well. Both teams playing very well,
and that's
and yet again variation. You know, everything from hitting, you know, slightly slower shots that maybe land a bit shorter, forcing your opponent to lunge forward, to hitting extraordinarily powerful shots and just kind of changing up the variation so much.
Absolutely, and I think that variation is what's the energy that the crowd can feel. I think that's what's keeping them very engaged with it all.
Yeah, and definitely. But no, I think action now underway on the near courts to us and the far courts. I think warm-up's still ongoing on courts, the middle courts. Looking at the far court though, slightly kind of unforced error there from the Lancaster team. But overall just very competitive and, you know, yet again, great depth, certainly on the most recent shot from York. But overall just great depth and great consistency.
Yeah, and that consistency, I think, is what's shining through when they're playing. I think they're working out, okay, this is how we play this shot, this is how we do this shot, and they're working on that to help with their gameplay, really.
Yeah, definitely. And again, more cheers, I think, mostly for the open first. But, you know, That being said, there's a lot of people around near where we are who are supporting
Yeah.
supporting both Lancaster and York, and then we've got the people up on the balconies who've probably got the best view out of everyone here.
I mean, I could argue that we have the best view.
We do. We're very much courtside.
Yeah.
But no, it's very competitive, very close. I think just up on the court closest to us, we don't have a scoreboard, which is unfortunate. Slight error there on York's parts, but yet again, I wouldn't say an entirely unforced error. Very much being forced to the back of the court to try and get that shot back. Yet again, great variation from both teams. A couple of drop shots from both teams. Unfortunately, I think trying to do a drop shot there from the Lancaster team didn't quite work out. In part, I think she was just so far back in the court that it just meant that trying to hit a drop shot was just a bit, or even just a shorter shot was just that much more difficult. Great reflexes, but from both teams being shown. Unfortunately, York just not being able to quite return that shot. But then, in fairness, it's not an easy shot to hit.
No,
I mean,
absolutely.
a back and return where you're stretching for it, not easy. What they did make look easy though was a very, what I'd say, nonchalant drop shot. Just to win a point and just nonchalantly it's over the net.
It's over.
Because I think they played a lot, used a lot of disguise on that shot, just it being so unexpected.
Yeah, and it's really what I've learned about badminton today. It's about having that judgment in terms of where do you place yourself in the court. Like, okay, if I do a long shot, I need to go here, or if I do it like this, I need to come to this space.
Yeah.
So it's really a game about judgment, I would say. I don't know if you'd agree.
Oh, very much judgment and reactions as well. You need the lightning quick reactions to get some of these shots.
Yeah.
Play is now fully underway on all courts as well. The middle court looking especially competitive. The court coverage is great. A slight unforced error. I think the Lancaster team getting slightly eager on that shot.
Slightly.
Overall, I'd say, validly so. A great, court coverage from both teams on the middle courts. And it was a very long and well-constructed point. And then you have what is seemingly an easier net shot where you can hit a smash and hopefully a winner.
Yeah, especially you can see the power from the Lancaster side as well, the power behind the shots, which sometimes is working in their favour, sometimes it isn't.
Well, speaking of working in their favour, it just, I think, won them a point, and I can see that they have a scoreboard up there. I just can't actually see the numbers, which is a bit less
and
useful.
I will also say I don't think I can see the numbers as well, and I don't have glasses.
I
So
can
don't
see
know
that
what
there's a
says.
14 there.
Yeah.
So I think that might be in favour of York, but I can't see what the Lancaster score is, which is a little less useful.
Yeah.
But as I said, play is underway on all three courts. At the minute, on the far court, Lancaster, certainly on that most recent point, very much on the offense there. York doing great to defend a bunch of those shots, but in the end, just not being able to return it. Going back to kind of the courts closest to us, a lot of variation, decent smash. I think there might. We just come back. I think there might have been game for Lancaster there.
I think
so
it was game for
it's best of
Lancaster.
3 games and first to 21 points by 2 clear. I think they just won that. Yet again, it was an unfortunate kind of almost forced error from the York team. But very close match. So
very,
far.
very close.
I think it is just the opening game, so York have a chance, and we've seen it certainly on all of the courts where one team has started out really well and then has almost been forced to kind of just there's been a momentum shift, and now all of a sudden it's back kind of on an even amount of points, and you've then got to defend.
It can be. I feel like badminton, especially this game, I think it's anyone's. Anyone can take it because they're both really good,
Yeah, definitely. And just the variation, the timing is just overall really good. Going back, I think, to play just about on the 2 courts furthest from us.
Yeah.
On the far court, yet again, Lancaster just
Wow.
initially showcasing the power that they've got, but then York just showcasing how good their defense is. And York
Yeah.
ultimately coming up with a win because they just stretched the Lancaster team that much further.
Yeah, and I think you can see that as well, potentially from both sides, where they're being good at defending and then they're not from the other side, and then they play it again and then they win that point. you
Yeah.
know. So maybe there's some consistency, potentially. I don't know.
Well, speaking of consistency, I don't know if you were looking at the point on that middle court. Great construction, great reflexes, because all of the shots from both teams were really fast-paced. I think ultimately, that was a point for Lancaster there.
Yeah.
Yet again, we can't see the scores, which doesn't help. Although that being said, I think York look like they're on 18 points and might be closing in on a victory. Oh wait, no, that might actually be. I think that's actually the far court.
Yeah.
So I think the far court, York have got 18 points, and I think Lancaster might have just a couple more.
Well, someone has 18 points.
Yes.
Someone has it.
No, the reason I say is I think I just noticed you can get up digital scoreboards on your phones, and I think a few people are sat at the back at the opposite end of the sports hall tours just with a scoreboard up. A lucky shot recently for York there. It was going to be a short shot anyway, but York clipping the net and just barely going over. And Lancaster, for all of their great footwork and foot speed, not being able to get to it. So, not that you'd blame them for that though.
No.
It was hugely close.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I said, I don't think there's a clear winner emerging from this because both sides are performing very well, I would say.
Oh no, I definitely agree. Both are performing just hugely well. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think some of them are warming up for the next game. I think the middle court has just started.
I believe so. No, it's still the same game because it's
Okay, still the same game. But yeah, there's no action on the
far
court.
court. I think they're just taking a break between games at the minute.
Yeah, I think
Because
so
obviously
too.
it's best of 3 games, but you do get a break between between the games. So
That's very considerate. Very considerate. Yeah. But no, so it's very entertaining. It's very nice to watch badminton. I will be honest with you, I haven't actually watched a badminton fixture ever. Potentially, I might say that. So this is my first kind of looking at it all. I mean, like I said to you earlier, I played it when I was younger, but I've never actually sat down and watched it. So it's quite nice just to see, like we've been saying a lot about the consistency, the power. Yeah, it's just very nice to see it all happening.
And another thing I think that's a bit underrated as well.
Yeah.
Almost a sense of happiness as well. Even when missing, a lot of these teams, they're shown smiling, happy, and occasionally if there's a funny missed shot, having a bit of a laugh too. And yes, it's competitive. Yes, there's points at stake. Yes, you're going to be nervous, but at the end of the day, when regardless of whether you're winning or losing, the team just each team player showing support for the other.
Absolutely, and I like that, especially when they finish it and then they go and shake like the opponent's hands. There's like that sense of gratitude in a way. Maybe that's not the right word to use, but
perhaps,
respect.
Action now, still underway on the first court. Great serve variation. I mean, on the previous point, I don't know if you saw, there was almost a backhand drop shot cross court, and just dropped just down and in, and was really well constructed. And speaking of well constructed, Lancaster constructing that point very well, playing quite aggressive badminton, and just not giving York, the York team, kind of almost, I wanted to say an option, but making it difficult for York, and Lancaster doing the same. Lancaster are in the same position, York hitting a decent amount of drop shots, variation, both on kind of the court closest to us, and then the other courts which are now underway again.
Yeah.
Just, variation is kind of one of the key kind of things that we've noticed amongst all of the different teams.
Right, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm learning badminton today. I'm learning about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Why, when they start playing, sometimes they hide. It's a shuttlecock, right? I'm right saying it's called. Why do they hide it behind a bat?
So that, when you're doing doubles,
Yeah.
occasionally they will change up either their serve or their serving position.
Okay.
So they try and construct certain points.
Mm-hmm.
So they might go, okay, we want to play the point this way. Like, okay, I'm going to serve a short, wide serve, and I want you diagonally behind me. And so they will, instead of physically going to, instead of running the risk of being heard by their opponent, what they'll do is they will put the shuttlecock behind their back and change the position of that shuttlecock to indicate where they want to serve, where they want to receive.
That is smart. That is really smart.
It's similarly in tennis instead, what that usually happens is it's with the net player who will just use their fingers and go, okay, I'm going to stand here at the net and I'm going to use this play. And it's the same kind of concept in badminton. It's like, I'm going to serve here. This is the kind of, I'm going to serve a short serve, or I'm going to try and serve a high looping serve and try and, they'll have certain strategies in place already as a team to kind of go, okay, I want to hit this serve, therefore this is kind of the best point to hit.
Right.
And speaking of, best shots and best points to hit, the last few points for Lancaster here on the court closest to us have been very competitive and, very well constructed, changing up variation. Both teams, however, showing a lot of, as a variation, court coverage. Unfortunately, court coverage not quite being enough for the Lancaster team there. York hitting a really good winner right into the corner of the court closest to us. And just, the Lancaster team almost, scrambling to try and get to it.
Yeah, and I think talking about the other games going on as well, you can see lots of people are engaging with it, lots of people are cheering everyone on. So it's nice to see that all 3 games are happening right now.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And, that variation and the reactions as well, and just the change in points. I mean, brilliantly illustrated by the middle court there. Started out, York were hitting some pretty aggressive, fast-paced shots. Lancaster managing to get them back and then quite literally turn the tables. Lancaster finishing the point on the middle court with a smash a couple of points ago, and just really kind of, going from being hugely defensive to completely offensive and winning, in the space of a singular point. So.
Yeah, and I think that's what I've said before, like everything is changing when you think somebody's potentially being the more dominant person, and then it can just change like within a flash, So yeah, no, I think it's just quite nice to see all the games happening and just different shots. It's just very like engaging, and I think as well, if you're down here in Lancaster, come on down to the sports hall and watch everyone. It's a pretty good game as well.
No, definitely. I mean, there's so many fixtures going on.
Yeah.
There's
so
always
many.
something to do.
So much things to do in Lancaster. I mean, I think the darts is currently going on in the Great Hall.
Yes, so we have darts going on all day, and when I say all day, I mean all day.
All day.
The last one is
about that.
I'm on the last one. I'm helping run that, and that finishes at midnight.
Yeah.
That's the open first, so that will definitely be hugely competitive. So
I can imagine so. I mean, today we've had cheerleading.
We've got tennis as well. Tennis is running all 3 days. I'm very annoyed I can't go and watch it.
I know, but you're here with me.
I'm here with me. I'm enjoying badminton. We're here commentating.
Yeah.
I'm slowly losing my voice, so apologies if at any point, by the way, if you are just tuning in, we are watching the badminton and a frog isn't commentating. I am just slowly losing my voice.
Potentially 13-12.
I've just seen the scoreboard.
Yeah.
They've moved the scoreboard.
Person,
How
if you're
have we?
listening, you are a lifesaver. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
13 all now.
13, yeah.
How have we only just noticed this?
I think they've just came now. I think they've literally just arrived.
That is perfect. Brilliant
Oh.
timing. But no, as I said,
Yeah.
yeah, firstly, apologies. A frog isn't commentating. I'm just
No.
slowly losing my voice. But no, as I've been saying, hugely competitive on both ends for, both York and Lancaster, hugely competitive. I mean, on this court here, we're in the second game, and it's 14-13 in favour of York. A slight miss there from Lancaster.
Yeah, slight miss.
15-13. But one thing as we've been, seeing so much is just huge momentum shifts. And at the minute, it seems York, they won the last, I think, 3 points in a row. They seem to have the momentum. So it's very much now asking a question of Lancaster, like, okay, can you kind of bring it back and, compete? Great shots. I don't think you might have seen from...
No.
Great shots from both Lancaster and York, moving from side to side. Great court coverage, but in the end, not quite enough. And York getting the winner there to take it up to 17-13 in favour of York. Good drop shot from Lancaster. Good enough to force an error out of York. 17-14. Yet again, kind of pulling it back there. So
It's anyone's game, really. Come on. Oh, this is getting good.
I said-
Oh.
wow.
Yeah, wow.
we were talking about variation and then
Yeah.
power.
Yeah, and I think that was a
We started
perfect
with
example of that.
drop shots, went to some high loopier shots, ended with a massive smash from the Lancaster team to take it as a winner. But
Yeah.
variation there as well. That backhand
Now-
cross court, she's used that shot a few times
Yeah,
and changed.
18-15 now.
Yeah, they've been using that shot a few times and varying it up so much, going from like a really acute angled drop shot to a more powerful shot like that, where yes, the Lancaster team got a racket on it, but couldn't do anything about it and were just
I know, and it's like I said with you, like you could have shots like that where they turn into a rally of some sort, and then there's one where they go a bit more less powerful, but now, damn, that was perfectly timed as well.
Yeah,
Got
and
a
I said
rally
the
going.
reaction's really great.
Yeah.
Lancaster winning the last couple of points here, taking up to 19-17.
It can be anyone's call. Anyone can win this.
I heard a slight, I think, annoyance there from the Lancaster team you might have heard.
Yeah.
The shot that York hit was going out, but the rule is if any part of your racket touches it, you do need to get the point, the shuttlecock back over, and she kind of almost clipped the shuttlecock and it then went out. So tiny bit of disappointment, but bring it up to 2018 in favour of York there. So bringing it back 2019 now. So saved one match point, and now they've got can they defend another is the question for Lancaster.
And let's see. Oh,
That
There
might
we
have
go.
run slightly long.
yeah.
No,
Might have been.
no, didn't
What?
run long. No,
Oh,
20 all.
so
So
good, 20
now
all.
we go to 2 clear points unless it gets 29 all.
Okay. Oh,
Close shots and great playing from both teams.
yeah.
But York just getting that extra depth is, I think kind of being the imperative there. 21-20 in favour of York, and they're serving as well, so...
Right, let's. Oh.
But Lancaster,
that was a
very
good shot, that
aggressive.
was, yeah.
Coming in, it was a short serve, so fairly deep return, and then just coming in straight towards the net.
That was very unlucky
Again,
then.
hugely competitive. Was 21 all, now 22-21. York hitting a decent drop shot there. And so just the competitiveness is just,
Yeah. Come on. Let's. Oh.
Decent amount of power there, and very unfortunate there.
Yeah,
Way to
very
end it. I mean,
unfortunate.
huge, well-constructed point from both teams. But in the end, what happened on the court closest to us was York were going for a drop shot, clipped the net, and just barely went over.
Yeah.
And just, that much more difficult to just hit. So, but, hugely competitive. 23-21 in the end, so.
Yeah. So I think the court service away from us. I think they've just finished now.
I think possibly so. I think
Yeah.
all the courts. I think the
I think
far
the-
court are just on a break.
They're on a break. and the
So
middle
same.
one's still going.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So, that was a good shot. Hold
Yeah,
on.
so the
Oh,
variation on it is
Oh.
great.
Yeah, for sure.
Lancaster just hitting it ever so slightly long there. But no, it's just, hugely competitive. So,
Yeah. And I think it's like a very good game to watch in a way. Like I said, I've
it's
never
fast-paced as well.
so fast paced.
I mean, I
wouldn't believe it
compare
would
it
be.
to tennis,
Yeah, you
where
can see the
matches
similarities.
can go on for hours. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the gameplay is similar in the sense that, yes, you've got a net and a racket, and you've also got similar gameplay of like, okay, you want to force errors out of your opponent, force them from side to side, force them back to front, run to the net, then hit a lob over their heads,
Yeah.
force them backwards. So some similar strategies, but one good thing about badminton is so fast-paced, and it means momentum can shift just so easily
Yeah, I
and so
mean,
quickly as well.
Yeah, especially with the last game on the court in front of us. We couldn't call it. We didn't know if York was going to win it. We didn't know if Lancaster was going to win it. So yeah, it can change so quickly. But no, I think everyone is now on a break. I
The
think
middle
so.
court are still playing.
Oh,
so.
they're still playing. Okay.
Yeah, and there was a forced error from the York side. They tried to get their racket onto the shuttlecock. It was a really good shot from Lancaster.
Yeah.
But the shuttlecock sprayed wide and went on to the court closest to us.
Oh, that was unfortunate from York.
I think there's been a few cases, not just from that team, but in general. Just
Yeah.
you think it's going to go out, you're hoping like it's going to go out, it's going to go
Yeah.
out, it's going to go out, and then it just
But
barely
you
lands
could feel
in.
like the passion that was going to go into that shot as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, the action is still going on in the middle court right now.
But no, I mean, it's been, as I've been saying previous years as well, we've been saying it's competitive. Sometimes it's swung one way or the other, so I think
Yeah.
back in 2022 there were a few fixtures where York kind of swept Lancaster, but Lancaster have had similar results as well, and so it's
Alright.
been very close.
Yeah.
And speaking of close, the middle court, you're just seeing a lot of fast-paced shots, good reflexes, and mostly, very few unforced errors, which is always what you want to see. It's a
Yeah.
good sign of confidence.
Yeah. For sure. Oh, that was a good shot.
Yeah, I said, again, playing with depth
Yeah,
is
good.
so kind of...
Depth is really good, especially that middle court. The depth is really good on there. So it's showing a lot of control, I would say. I think the action is about to start.
I believe it's one set all now as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on the court closest to us, it's going to be a deciding set. So definitely interesting.
Very interesting. And I don't know if you all can hear the passion from the other side of the sports hall, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's very passionate in here today. Well, actually, no, this afternoon even.
I suspect as well
Yeah.
that they've only got a couple of matches left. There's, as you might be able to see, an enormous ring of spectators. So
Yeah.
So it's probably possibly one of the last matches, certainly of that kind of round
Yeah.
of kind of games. And so,
For sure.
showing all the support there, really important. I think action is now
Yeah, action has
underway
resumed.
on kind of the court closest to us.
Yeah.
I think it's 2-love in favour of York from what I can see.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, guys. Hopefully.
As I said, we aren't, yeah. The scoreboards aren't great, but
No. The scoreboard has kind of gone out of view for both of us, but we will still give it our best shot and give you the most accurate, potentially, scoring. For sure. But no, the action is happening in these two courts here. There's nothing actually going on in the court that's furthest away from us. I think they're potentially looking for somebody to go now. But no, all the action is here. and it's just nice to see it all. You can see potentially some forced errors, some long shots as well.
Oh, yeah,
Ooh.
definitely. I mean, slight unforced error there on the York team.
Yeah.
But overall, just great play from both York and Lancaster. On the court closest to us, the variation and the court coverage is great. I mean, we've seen York hit a bunch of like drop shots.
Yeah.
And then also they go for some more powerful shots. So
For sure, and it's a good watch. It's a good watch for us, and it'll be a good watch for you guys as well.
oh, definitely, yeah.
For sure.
As a hugely competitive, fast-paced, momentum
Yes.
swings.
Absolutely.
What don't you want?
Yeah. I mean, I could like to see some scores, but we can't have everything. Can
I might
we?
be able, if I stand up, I might be able to. I think it's on the court closest to us. I think it's 6-4 in the favour of York.
Right.
Just going to stand up and double check. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think the scariest part of badminton for me is potentially getting hit.
But
I don't know
as
about
we've
you.
said, there's great
Yeah.
depth.
Great depth.
But that also
and
means
that it's like every time when it comes to us, I'm like getting my hand out ready to block my face.
they are close, but you know, all of them are showing that how experienced they are.
Yeah.
I mean, Lancaster previously hit the one that you were slightly afraid of.
Yes.
Was right at the very back of the court and just landed in, and was a really good shot from Lancaster. But York and Lancaster, you know, they're pushing each other. At the minute, I think it's
Absolutely.
8-5 in favour of Lancaster here on the court closest to us.
And I think that pushing is what's making it a good game. And I think potentially you all could hear the chants from the crowd then. But no, the vibe, the atmosphere in here is quite electric in a way. So yeah, it's quite nice to hear it all.
Definitely. I mean, that point recently as well was just so well constructed from York. You know, just a lot of power and just forcing your opponents to move around the court. So
Yeah.
bit of a change up from Lancaster. They
Yeah.
started by coming into the net quite early with a drop shot as well.
Yeah.
But unfortunately not paying off. York ultimately ended up winning that point. So
There's still no action going on in the court furthest away from us. Just keeping you all updated on that as well.
action is also underway on the court in the middle. I'd love to be able to tell you the scores, but
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what this one. Let's see who gets this point. Who
But
got
no.
that point? What do you think?
I'm not sure actually.
No, because as well, I can see a scoreboard, but it's like so far away.
That's also the one for
I
the
think it's
furthest court.
Potentially, yeah, potentially. But no, you can see in the court in the middle, there's lots of different shots being used. I think, did York win that point?
I think so, possibly, yeah.
I think so. Now we're back to the court in front of us, and that is a point to
That
York.
I believe, yeah, point to York. So
See, I'm getting
what
good.
I
I'm
think,
getting good at it now,
correct,
guys.
yeah. Well, correct me if I'm wrong.
Uh-huh.
But I think the team that win
Yeah.
the point are the next ones to serve. I could be
Oh,
wrong on
okay.
that. So, yeah. Don't hold me to that.
No, I won't quote you on that. Don't worry. Don't worry. But no, it's quite nice to see it all happening.
Yeah, it's hugely competitive as well.
For sure.
Yeah, point to Lancaster there. No, York even, sorry.
Yeah.
And just kind of, yeah, York, you know, showing that they've got so much like variation in their shots and kind of
Yeah.
their ability to just change things up.
Yeah, and that variation, again, it's making it a good game, as you guys can see from now. Quite powerful, but then sometimes you're just playing it with like less power in a way.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
That variation of it.
I mean, that's the whole point. What you want to do is, force your opponent to either stretch and run,
Yeah.
or run all the way back to, you know, the back of the court. So
Yeah. Because then that's how you get your point, hopefully. Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what's happening here. Oh, that was a long one. Okay, back again.
Great coordination, I think.
Yeah,
from
great coordination.
all of the kind of the teammates and team members. Just a huge amount of kind of coordination to kind of win
Yeah.
that point.
For sure. And that coordination, especially between each other on each side, is very good as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, huge amount of like support as well. So yeah, definitely. It'd be great if we could still see the score.
I know.
But yeah, as we can see, just hugely competitive. At the minute,
Oh.
Lancaster
Wow.
at the minute on the offensive,
Yeah,
so to speak.
especially with that amount of power. Like, damn, it's so good.
Oh yeah,
So
I mean,
good.
yeah, definitely.
It's like if you saw me playing badminton, I would not have that power at all behind.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, the amount of power that some of them generate is
Yeah.
ridiculous. So
Oh, that was quite unfortunate from Lancaster.
oh yeah,
there.
it,
Quite
unfortunate, just not great.
Right, they're about to play. There we
Back
go.
to play, and yet again, variation in kind of where
Yeah.
you're standing. You know, the different types of shots you're
There we
making.
go.
Speaking of shot making, great kind of. I mean, what I think Lancaster saw there was just a massive opening. Like one of the team members was
Yeah.
going to run to one of the kind of
Especially.
sidelines. The other one was going to run to the other, like tramline sidelines.
Yeah,
So
and it's like if you see an opening, you've got to take it. Absolutely. But no. So this game's still going on. Oh!
yeah, I mean, definitely just
Yeah.
really, really close, really, really good quality.
Really
So.
close. Like I said, it's a shame that we can't see the scores to give you an accurate update of information.
Yeah, it is a shame, but we can see the scores, kind of.
Yeah. Wow. Come on.
Great height on that.
Oh.
I think she thought it might have been going out.
Yeah. See, it's not judgment. Sometimes it can work in your favour. Sometimes it can be your biggest enemy as well.
You good?
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, my voice, I'm sorry for the pauses.
Oh, it's
my voice is
okay.
slowly going, so I'm just having to give it a break a bit.
Don't you worry.
And I'm just
don't you
thinking,
worry.
you know,
Yeah.
if you are joining us, this is the women's first fixture. This is worth 4 points actually in Roses, so a decent amount. The entirety of badminton is worth about 10 as well. So very important fixture, not only for badminton, but also in general for Roses as well. And as you can hear, a huge amount of support. So, I mean, how are you finding the atmosphere?
I'm loving it. I'm loving it so much. You can see the energy from everyone watching this game, especially from above as well. And you can hear all the tapping and everything. It's quite nice to see that energy being brought to badminton as well.
I mean, and, if either previous years or their records so far this year is anything to go by, it is still going to be competitive for the other fixtures as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yet again, a lot of support here. I think
Lots of
this
support.
might actually be the last fixture, possibly.
Potentially.
We don't know.
No.
This shows how
Oh,
Lancaster, I think, pulling it back ever so slightly. I think it's getting closer and closer to match point here, or at least game point. I think York might be up 20. I think 2019. So yet again, hugely close, match. And as I've been saying, it's been close. They've been both of them successful all season. Lancaster have won, I think, won or drawn 7 matches, and York have won 3, won or drawn 3.
yeah.
It is getting hugely competitive here. It is 20 all.
Yeah.
And I'm fairly certain it's also 1 game all. And because it's best of 3, next game wins. I think that was a good return for York there. So bringing them to another match point. Can Lancaster save it this time?
Let's find out.
Great, power hitting there from Lancaster and York, in fact, using, great amounts of change of depth. And I think, no, we're still going.
We are still going, guys.
21 all. And so as you could probably hear on the microphones, huge amount of support. There's people on the balconies. A lot of the other team have now just circled around this court. We've got people the other side of the barriers. There's just a huge amount of support for, both teams here. Both of them playing greatly. Drop shots, huge, powerful smashes. York trying to get that drop shot back, just ever so slightly overdoing it. And now, after saving, I think, about 3 match points, it is a match point for Lancaster here. So we'll see how they're doing.
Yeah, we'll see. Come on.
And it's in the net. And I think that might be... Yeah, it is game and match for Lancaster. But, smiles and hugs in between the teams and in between each other as well. As I was mentioning, it is Roses. There is that huge competitive element. It's one of the most competitive, I think, one of the most competitive contests we've ever had. But just that respect for both your teammates and your opponents as well is always, I think, something that's been integral to Roses for so long.
For sure, and I think that's very clear, especially with badminton today, that respect for each other, which is very nice to see compared to different sports as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it's just absolutely great to see. So yeah, what are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts on the kind of the matches so far?
I think they've been quite entertaining. You've been seeing a lot of rallies, I would say. So it's quite nice with it all. But yeah, it's so good to see that lots of rallies are happening. But yeah, like Lucas had said, that
yeah, it's been hugely just competitive.
Today, I'm TV producing, I'm commentating, as
And
Hannah
it's been
Montana
fun.
would
We've
say.
had fun. We've been
I've had
laughing,
the
smiling.
best of both worlds.
I've been commentating, having fun, slowly losing my voice as well. But it's been, hugely competitive.
Yeah, and I'm going to be coming back in a few minutes, hopefully. I'm just going to get a bit of a check-in with the teams.
And in the meantime, I'm just going to very quickly, what I'm going to do is hopefully just bring up kind of some of the most recent fixtures. So, live reporting here for you just now whilst we're waiting, I think, on either scores or new fixtures. So, as of 11:57, Lancaster lead 87.5 to York's 56.2. But some of the most recent match results, cheerleading open was a win for York. Squash, women's first, a win for Lancaster at 11:47. York, yet again, winning women's second. Football. And this is what we were saying about how competitive it's been. It's almost like they're trading one fixture win for the other. So yeah, open cheerleading, a win for York. Women's first squash, a win for Lancaster. Women's second football, a win for York. Women's third rugby union, a win for Lancaster. Open third hockey, a win for York. Open second badminton, which is what preceded this. That was a win for Lancaster. Women's team bouldering and climbing, a win for Lancaster. Women's first lacrosse, win for York. And I think that's most of the fixtures that have happened so far today. And yeah, if you're joining us, there's just now, then at the minute, I think we might just be either about to get more fixtures and kind of a draw for the next couple of teams, or it could be the end of the fixture. We're not quite sure yet. But no, there's a bunch of other sports currently ongoing. I mean, we've got volleyball, Pokemon, esports, darts. Darts is going on all day. I think finishes at midnight with the open firsts. Currently, yeah, we've got badminton here. We've also got on Sports Hall 1B, where if you've been, tuning in beforehand, you've heard a huge amount of support, both for the women's first and the open first for badminton. There's a huge amount of support for on all sides for all fixtures here so far. And we've also got in the sports centre in the swimming pool, swimming open first and second, and then rugby union men's third is still ongoing. All of this can be found along with the results so far on the Roses Live website. That is roseslive.co.uk. And also, as a shame that it's a self-promotion, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of the people who have come along today to support their teams. Thank you ever so much for student media who have done so much in their coverage so far. It's been, absolutely kind of, really good widespread coverage. And also a massive thank you to all of the teams. We wouldn't be here. There wouldn't be any coverage of anything if it wasn't for the teams. It's great to watch them play, watch them compete, and huge amount of respect for both, players, competitors, team, respects. There's been laughs, fun. So yeah, it's been really great so far. There's overall very competitive with fixtures going either side very much. If that makes any sense, York and Lancaster trading fixtures, so to speak, for want of a better phrase. Starting out the day, York winning, Lancaster winning, as I said. At the minute, as I said, it's still a case of York on 56.5 points, Lancaster on 87.5. So, York are about 124 points away from a win. 125 points away from a win. And Lancaster are about 93 points off of a win. Bear in mind, you need 181.5 points to seal the overall win here at Roses. We've got a lot of fixtures happening today. And I said you can tune in either on Channel 1 or tune in kind of across, if you want to tune in on YouTube, we've got a bunch of streams happening. So, yeah. Unfortunately, as I said, not much happening at the minute. But as I said, it's been very, very competitive so far. And, just kind of, looking forward to kind of more fixtures and looking forward to the badminton, which, as I said, previous years has been just so competitive. But yeah, I mean, I think we are just now waiting on more draws and kind of more fixtures, which we are just going through at the minute. I think I am now joined again by the wonderful Emily Smith. How are you again?
I'm back again.
How are you? Have you managed to get any? Do you know if there's been any results that have happened?
There have been
some
some
perfect.
results.
Give us a rundown.
I will try my best. I may have written this very badly, so I do apologise.
I can have a look.
So there are 3 games left to be played. I think 5 to Lancaster and then 1 to York.
Yes, so they've got 3 games left. So the one we were watching, which we initially saw was competitive. So the scoring is as follows. So the first team, they won their match for Lancaster 21-12 in the first game, 21-23 to York in the second game, and 23-21 to Lancaster, sealing out the match and a win for Lancaster there. So the third pair then played for Lancaster, 21-14 and 21-18, winning for Lancaster there. So that's another one of the wins we mentioned.
Yes.
But then the one that we saw that was over, I think me and Usul saw it, that was over quite quickly, was a fairly decisive win. So our second team going up against York's first team. The first team from York winning 21-6 and 21-9 in the end. So a fairly quick and decisive win for York there. A lot of them have been fairly close. I mean, the other matches have been Lancs second against York third, 21-16, 21-7 for Lancaster. Then our third team against York's first, 21-19 to Lancs, 21-16 to Lancs. And then the final fixture was against the third team up against second pair for York, and that was 21-15 and 21-17 in favour of Lancaster. So whilst initially, if you just look at who's won how many matches, it looks fairly one-sided with Lancaster up 5-1 at the minute.
For sure.
5-1? 4-1?
I think 5-1.
5-1, yeah, 5-1.
Yeah.
But you look at the individual matches, and each and every single one of them is very close. You know, the one we were watching going to it's 3 sets, the only one that's been to 3 sets. The others, where a lot of the teams have scored double digits in both kind of games.
Yeah, for
So-
sure. And I'm going to have to pop off again and do a bit of producing because, like I said,
You're abandoning me.
I'm abandoning you.
You're
I'm so
abandoning
sorry.
me.
I'm so sorry, but
You're
like
terrible at your job. You're not. Please let me clarify there. Emily Smith is good at her job. But as I said, warm-up's now underway. I believe there are only 3 more matches left to play. At the minute, York are just warming up on all of the courts, getting ready for that, final fixtures, and, hoping to, I think, pull back some of the wins and hopefully come out with, a few more victories. So, yeah, it's been, really competitive so far, and we'll be, glad to see. At the minute, I think they are still just drawing names. But no, it's been really competitive. As I said, the Lancaster ones against York twos was, I think, by far the most competitive match. It was 21-19 in favour of Lancaster in the first set. First game, rather. I'm getting my terminology between tennis and badminton mixed up. You will have to forgive me on that. 21-19 to Lancaster in the first game. 21-23 in favour of York in the second. And then in the third, 23-21 in favour of York, Lancaster in the third. And just, overall very competitive. And, both at some point saving match points to end up getting the victory there. If you are just tuning in, welcome. I'm the commentator, Lucas Abbott. I am slowly losing my voice, so apologies if at any point my voice cracks. This is Badminton Women's First. We're in the Sports Centre. It's a great atmosphere here. There's a lot of people who've shown up to support the team, because there is also the Open First fixture going on the other side of the sports hall. And so there's a lot of support for both Lancaster and York on both fixtures. So, really, really good to see, and really, really kind of supportive of all the teams. Sorry, my voice is going. So yeah, it's been, really great. But, going into it, I think it's going to be competitive as usual. I think we're going to have some really fun matches. And I'm joined by Emily again. How are you?
I'm back.
How's producing going?
Like I said, best of both worlds. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere today.
Can I abandon you very briefly so I can just go and get a drink of water?
Oh, you know what? I had a smidge this was going to happen again. No, go on, lovely. You go and get some water.
Literally, my bag's over there. I'll be back in 5 seconds.
Don't you worry. Right, so we have all of the games happening in a way. That's a lie, actually. They're all starting to warm up. So games are going to be starting very, very soon. But yeah, everyone's just starting to warm up now. It's quite nice. I actually might talk about...
Right, we're back.
Oh, we're back. We're back. We're back.
With a significantly less froggy sounding voice.
Yeah. I was about to start talking about her racket, because I kind of like the rackets. I'm right saying it's pink. I think.
The strings, are pink.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be nerdy. It's a Yonex racket. Yonex, they're known for both kind of tennis rackets and also badminton rackets. They're a Japanese brand, and in general, they're known to kind of manufacture their rackets to quite fine margins. And as a result, I can't speak on behalf of badminton, but on behalf of tennis, what I can say is sometimes they always give certain margins for the racket. So it'll be a 305 gram racket plus or minus 5 grams.
Wow.
And Yonex try and minimize the amount of kind of variation that there'll be. They'll try and get it as close to 305 grams every single time.
I feel like
but,
I'm getting a
there's always
history
going to be
lesson right now. I love it.
There's always going to be variation,
Oh, okay.
and all racket brands, I will say, always try and reduce variation as much as possible. Because if you're playing and if you've got, like, say, 2 rackets, one with different strings, what you want is them to, be the same weight, have the same feel. So
For sure. And I'll be honest, I've never seen a pink racket before.
honestly, I haven't either, but I kind of dig it.
Same
it's very
here.
Cool.
I like the vibe because
It's very nice.
It's very nice. I mean, comparing it to like everyone else's, who's just like the bog standard white racket.
In fairness, I think someone has got a Babolat racket and they've got like orange string. We had a couple of people with orange strings.
Orange ones. Oh, I'm yet to see that. But
Yeah,
no.
no, it's been. I think I've seen it in. Yeah, there's been a few like, people. Yeah, oh, there it is, just over there. There you can see.
Oh, well, now I've
Black
seen
and
it.
yeah,
Now I'm seeing
black
it.
and yellow racket with orange
and I'm
strings.
happy. But no, it's quite nice to see the variation in the rackets as well. But no, I think everyone's just warming up just for the next game to start, I would say.
Yeah, so they've got 3 final fixtures going on.
Yeah.
I think they're just deciding who's about to serve on the final court. So I think they're actually about to get completely underway. So
Yeah, for sure.
that's good. As at the minute, the Lancaster and York team just kind of, they're basically, I think they're just still warming up. But, in fairness, when you're playing a bunch of different matches, you want to make sure that, you don't get muscle cramps and stuff.
I mean, that's good in a way because you're looking after yourself and making sure that you're going to give the best game that you can in a way.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But, I mean, it's, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be enjoyable. And as I said, I think play is just about getting underway as we speak on the far court. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I think I can see the scoreboard for once. I can see it. It's clear.
It's here.
It's the
we can
far
see
one.
it.
It's 1-all at the minute.
Oh, it makes a change. Like we can see it. But no. I think potentially that is the only game that's started or starting.
Yeah, so at the minute, these guys are still warming up on the court closest to us.
Yeah.
And I think they're just underway on the middle court now. So, yeah, it'll be good. It'll be fun. It's going to be competitive because it's been competitive the entire time. But, we'll see. It'll be good.
It'll be a good game. Good game.
Oh, speaking of good games, great
Yeah.
power on the middle court there, and great variation from the York team, kind of forcing Lancaster back a bit. Lancaster in the inverse, playing very confidently and aggressively on the far court, but very much early doors on these first 2 matches that are underway. 3-2 on the far court. Not sure what the score is on the court closest to it, on the middle court. So
No, and I can't see if anyone's actually keeping track of the score as well in the middle court.
very interesting indeed.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
there's somebody like on the digital screen that you were talking about.
That's a
potentially.
possibility, yeah. But no, I
Potentially.
mean,
But
as we're looking into it,
yeah.
I mean,
we've gone the old-fashioned way with paper copies. Oh,
yeah,
potentially that could have been a win on the other side.
I suspect so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of applause and cheering.
There's a lot of applause and cheering. That's probably a massive giveaway for some
Yeah.
people.
And we are now finally underway on all courts. So,
Yeah.
it'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
York at the minute are up just 2-love on the court closest to us. And yeah, I think it'll be
Yeah.
good.
It is quite.
Just as an update on scores, we don't know about the middle court. On the far court from us, it's 7-2 in favour of Lancaster and 3-love in
3-love.
favour of York,
Yeah.
closest to us. But overall, very competitive. And, whilst there's been, I think, 1 or 2 errors from Lancaster on the side here, overall, very competitive. and both teams are going to be nervous, but both teams smiling, having
Yeah.
fun, and competing, which is, I think, the main point of Rose's.
Yeah, and you can see the happiness is kind of radiating in a way. Oh,
Definitely.
that was powerful.
A lot
That
of
was
power,
powerful.
definitely a lot of power.
That
and,
had a-
and in fairness as well, great returning from York to get that
Yeah.
back and to get it back so well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that was.
And speaking of good point construction as well, you see them moving their opponents across with drop shots, some powerful shots, kind of centrally to set up that kind of smash winner.
Yeah. Oh, rally going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Power. Some good receive.
great,
there.
great kind of,
But York got the upper hand there.
York got the win there, but great court coverage from Lancaster, getting that shot there. I mean, bear in mind, she's almost like facing with her back to the net when she's getting that because she's stretched that far out.
Yeah.
And I think that is both a testament to York's point construction, but also a testament to the court coverage of Lancaster's team here. Both teams are playing fairly fast-paced.
Yeah, it's
and
very fast-paced here.
Yeah,
for
looking at
sure.
the middle court here, yet again fast-paced. Lancaster coming with a bit of a, the winner just there. But overall, really competitive. And I think at the minute on the far end, it's 13-4 in favour of Lancaster. So a tiny bit more dominant on the Lancaster end there. But overall,
Yeah.
very competitive. And York are making Lancaster work for every point on that far court. So whilst the score is a bit misleading, York have not made it easy for Lancaster.
No, they're
And-
giving a good fight. They're giving a good fight, is what I'd say.
Yeah, and it's it's been overall competitive on all of the courts. I mean, even on the court closest to us, the score is very much misleading. It's 11-1 in favour of York, closest to us. But York have had to work for those points. They've not been short points. They've not been easy points. So
Yeah. And it's very good to see. There's a lot of technique happening.
yeah, I mean they're very.
A lot of control.
Oh yeah, a huge amount of control, and you need that, especially if you're hitting the shuttlecock so hard and so fast.
Yeah.
And it's technique as well, good technique, just to kind of make sure that when you're hitting those shots, they're going in, and they're also difficult for your opponent to hit. And just it's really good to watch because
Yeah.
everything is just such a high level. And varying it up with the serve, York just there, going from, their previous serves were a bit more kind of pushing the opponent back a bit, and then they, changed it up with, a shorter shot. Lancaster trying to hit a deeper serve there to try and force it back, not quite working out as expected. York being able to push back, get a smash, and then finishing off with the drop shots, which I think is a combo they've used quite a bit, and it's worked quite effectively. So, but I think both of them have done that quite, effectively here. York at the minute, just an update on scores, are leading 16-2 on the court closest to us, and on the far court, it's gotten a lot more competitive. I think that is 18.
I'm like, I can't help you on
I
that.
think that's 18-6 on the far court.
Yeah. You know what I've learned? I think I do need glasses.
It is. It's 19-6 now. So
19-6. There we
Lancaster
go.
pulling ahead in kind of the first game on the far court there.
I'm glad you can see it. I'm glad you can.
But overall, it's been competitive. Looking at the far court, using a lot of depth. Lancaster, just
Lots
forcing
of
their
depth.
opponents back and back and back, and not giving them a chance to, play offensively. If that makes sense. They're very much
Yeah, it
on the back
does,
foot, playing defensively, and Lancaster are just keeping them guessing on the far courts. And I think that is first game to Lancaster, 21-6 there.
Yeah.
Play still underway on the other two courts. 20-2 for Lancaster on this court closest to us. So a couple of match points as a set game points even. Words not wording. You'll have to apologise for that. But York taking a somewhat decisive game there on the court closest to us, 21-2. Bit more competitive, and I think very close on the court in the middle. I wish we had the scores to tell you. But yeah. So as we are going into the final stages, these are the last 3 fixtures. What are your kind of thoughts? Has it been so far? How do you think people are going to play?
Yeah, I think what we've kind of been saying is that it can be anyone's game, and we've had a look at past scores as well. It could go either way. I think it could be a York win, it could be a Lancaster win. So yeah, anyone can do this, which is quite good. But yeah, I think the action is still happening on the middle court.
What's happened is, so at the minute, on the court closest to us, the first set went in the way of York 21-2. I'm not sure on the score on the middle court, but as we've been saying, it's been very competitive so far, with a lot of with a lot of decent rallies, variation, power. So it's been good.
Yeah, so it's been very good, very entertaining. The other game that's happening at the other side has got lots of people there. Quite good to see that Badminton is drawing the spectators in. So yeah, it's quite good to see. I don't know about you.
No, it's been really, really good to see.
So what's gonna happen now, guys? Like I've been saying throughout this whole fixture, I am doing 2 roles right now. I am being the lovely, lovely commentator, and I'm also TV producing. So you are going to have the lovely Lucas for a little bit before I return.
Yeah, I'll see you in a bit. But yeah, so we're just about, action is still underway. As I said, we've got 3 final fixtures. I think we are just joining. I think they have just finished the first game on the middle court now. So, I'm not sure on the score. On the court closest to us, it was 21-2 in favour of York. A somewhat decisive victory there, but we have seen them kind of pull Lancaster pull back and then come out to take a victory. And the inverse is true of the court furthest from me. There was very much a decisive win for Lancaster. I think 21-6 there. I've got the memory of a goldfish, so if those scores are wrong, I do apologise. But no, it's very competitive. There's a huge amount of support, and it's been great so far. So yeah, looking forward to it. And yeah, if anything, if the previous matches are anything to go by, these last 3 matches are going to be competitive. So yeah, if you are tuning in, I'm Lucas, your commentator, and this is Badminton Women's First. We have got 3 final games. Lancaster have taken 5 fixtures out of the 6 played so far. York taking 1. One of them has gone to 3 games. So like how badminton works is it is a best of 3 system. So each game you play up to its first to 21 points by 2 clear points until you get to 29 all. At 29 all, it's sudden death. And now as I speak, we are back underway on the court closest to us. This is the second game. So the question is going to be, after losing the first game 21-2, can Lancaster pull it back? At the minute they started out quite well, taking the first point. But overall, I think this is going to be very close. Great amount of power and variation here from both York and Lancaster. Just changing it up with, some fast-paced, almost smashes, and then also just some, shorter drop shots, and then just pulling your opponent across the court has been the strategy of the day, because a lot of the people playing here today, they have really, really good reflexes and a decent amount of kind of power as well. So just hitting the shuttlecock hard was never going to be the solution that would work and win you the match. So seeing that variation in kind of depth, in kind of where the shot's going, has been really great to see. And, this second set starting out, in the second game rather, I'm still thinking about tennis, you'll have to forgive me. Starting out this second game has been really competitive. At the minute, 3-2 in the favour of York, with this unfortunate unforced error here from the Lancaster team, just hitting the shot ever so slightly long. But overall, very competitive, changing it up really well. Lancaster going for the drop shot there and not quite making it work, unfortunately going into the net, giving York 4-2 slight lead so far. Action is now underway on the other three courts. Very, very competitive, as I said previously. Pardon me. Very, very competitive. At the minute, we've just had the first points on the far courts, 1-love to Lancaster. This second court, the middle one, so to speak, very competitive. They're using, decent amount of power and variation, drop shots. Similarly with the York team closest here, starting out with a far shot and, starting at the very back of the court and then changing it up with a bunch of drop shots and absolutely everything. Looking into it, it's, been really competitive, really, really good. A slight error there from the York team closest to us, nearly hitting her team player, her partner's, head with the shuttlecock. But no, really competitive. Far court, just as an update for scores, Lancaster is currently up, I think, 4-love, showcasing a decent range, but really good court movement and coordination as well. That's been one thing that's also been key, coordination and communication with kind of your team and making sure that works. All of the other courts, huge, all of them are hugely competitive. I'm very much adamant and in the kind of thought process of I think the scoreboards do not paint the full picture and don't show you just how competitive this is. As we're going into it, scores are currently on the court closest to us. It is 8-5 in favour of York. I don't have a scoreboard for the middle court. I'd love to give you one, but I don't. And then on the far court, it is 6-1 in favour of Lancaster there. 7-1 now with an unfortunate error into the net, I think, from York. York being, I think, a bit performatively dramatic, if that makes sense. Very funny. And it's good to see, I think, that sense of humour amongst all of the teams here. Yes, it's competitive. Yes, it's roses. Yes, you want to win. But you're also playing a sport that you love and a sport that you compete in. So seeing it and just going out there and having fun and playing the best that you can is just always great to see. Speaking of great to see, the court closest to is hugely competitive. A lot of variation and a lot of power. It's been absolutely great to see so far. Now, as we, kind of go into it, we've got 8-3 in favour of Lancaster on the far court. At the minute, York have taken a bit of a lead on the court closest to us, 11-6. But, at the start of this, Lancaster had a much bigger points deficit, and they've more than made that up. So, and as we've been saying throughout the entire fixture, it genuinely could go either way. There have been momentum shifts, and some players have won 5, 6, 7 points in a row. So seeing that has been great. And speaking of, I think great to see, it's been hugely competitive on these far two courts. Huge amount of variation on the serve, great amount of depth just recently on the middle courts from both Lancaster and York, varying it, some drop shots, then hitting right towards the back of the court. And a slightly shorter shot there from Lancaster. I don't think York were quite expecting it. So, and a point there for Lancaster. On the far court, it's currently 4-11 in favour of Lancaster. Just a huge amount of variation from both teams. Unfortunately, for the York team, just getting a bit too close to the shuttlecock. It was, really difficult shots to get kind of their racket on. On the court closest to us now, what we have is, a slight unforced error there from the Lancaster team, but overall they're playing very, very well. A huge amount of power and variation, and overall really good kind of team playing from both teams here. Variation and trying, going for the shots even when you're down. Lancaster at the minute down 15-6 and still going for really short drop shots and really pushing York to the very back of the court. So it's been really competitive, and the reflex is just there, completely on show. A series of very fast-paced shots there. An unfortunate error there for the York team, bringing it to 15-7 on the court closest to us. Now, if we move to the court at the very far end, hugely fast-paced shots, changing it up with a few drop shots. Changing that depth is what has been, really kind of imperative here. Brings up the score to 14-5, I believe, in favour of Lancaster on the far court. Yet again, middle court doesn't have a scoreboard, very annoying here. But as we go to the middle courts, just briefly, you can see there's just a variation there. A slightly unfortunate error there for Lancaster, but the variation they're showing, going from the very back of the court and hitting shots with such power to then just hitting the most delicate of drop shots to just try and make your opponents move, make them mess up their footwork, or just try and get them to make an error. Great shot, I think, from Lancaster there. Was playing really competitively and powerfully, and then all of a sudden just reflexes almost kicked in, and a great kind of cross-court forehand from one of the Lancaster players. Great winner, and as I was saying, great shots from the York team as well, forcing an error, just hitting with so much power and so centrally as well, just making sure that making sure that it's very much it's still a competitive match, and sometimes hitting a bit more centrally as well, because sometimes the play has been not necessarily hit wide and run the risk of hitting the shot out, but hit it towards your opponent and make it difficult for them to get their racket on the shuttlecock. At the minute, the scores are 20-9 on the court closest to us, so a couple of match points there for York, and I think they have just taken it. Yes, they have. A very competitive match there, but a win for York on the court closest to us. Match play still underway here, though. We've got, as I said, 2 more fixtures remaining. On the far court, York have staged somewhat of a comeback. So they were 14-5 down, I believe, and have come back. It's now 17-9. So, as I said, massive momentum shift, and it very much can change either way. So, overall, very competitive, and a huge amount of power on the far 2 courts being shown. Very high shots, and a great shot from York there. Lancaster were very much on the defense there, hit a high shot, and easily put away by the York players there. But both have been playing very well. Great shot from York on the middle court as well. Reflexes definitely helping, and whilst Lancaster, they could get their racket on the shuttlecock, it just, wasn't enough to get it, back over the nets. Another great point from York, and it's great to see that they're so happy and celebrating, and see that yes, they're competitive, but they're also enjoying themselves out there. Themselves. My grammar is not great. Forgive me. Current scores are, I don't know about the one currently on the middle court, but it is currently 18-11 in favour of Lancaster on the far court. So very, very competitive and getting even more, even closer. And as you can hear, there's a huge amount of support for all of the teams here. As we wrap up and we get to the last 2 fixtures, teammates, friends, family, all kind of cheering them all on. Another good shot for Lancaster, and I think that might be it. I think Lancaster have taken the match on the second court, so all that's left now is the far court, which is getting, as I said, increasingly competitive. Huge amounts of power and variation shown there. A slightly shorter shot just meant that the Lancaster team couldn't quite get to it. 19-12 in favour of Lancaster on the far court. So it's going to be, very close, very competitive. York to serve, and I think that might have gone, yes, went slightly long there. So Now Lancaster with a match point. Can York pull it back? Lancaster to serve. Let's see how interesting they do. A short serve, very aggressive, powerful shots right to the back of the court from both teams, changing it up a bit. And Lancaster on making, the unfortunate, mistake of bringing the shot in a bit. They were on the defense, but York very much taking advantage of the shorter shot, playing very aggressively to save a match point. 20-13 now. As we come towards the very end of this match. So, and that is the last match. It's been very, very close, very, very competitive, but I think that might have been a win overall for Lancaster there. There were two very, very competitive wins and very brilliant wins there for Lancaster. It's, there's York even. Very competitive overall. It's been overall really, really, really good, really competitive. A lot of them going to 3 sets. Yeah. But no, it's been really, really great, and really, really